The Burston Bears Forget Their Manners by Stan and Jan Berenstain. Etiquette for bears. Please and thank you help quite a lot to make a polite bear out of one who is not. The Burston Bears Forget Their Manners by Stan and Jan Berenstain. There was trouble in the big tree house down a sunny dirt road deep in bear country. Trouble with manners. The bear family's trouble with manners was that they, well, forgot them. At first, it was just an occasional please and thank you that was forgotten. Then there was a rude push without an excuse me, then a reach across the table instead of a please pass the broccoli. Mama Bear wasn't quite sure how or why it happened, but she was sure of one thing. Whatever the reason, the bear family had become an pushing, shoving, name-calling, ill-mannered mess. Silly head, fuzz brain, noodle puss. At the table, it was even worse. They were a grabbing, mouse stuffing, food fighting, kicking under the table, super mess. Of course, Mama Bear tried to correct Brother and Sister Bear's behaviour. She tried coaxing, complaining, and shouting. She tried going to Papa for help, though sometimes seemed to Mama that he was part of the problem. Papa banged on the table and shouted, as only he could shout, but nothing really seemed to do any good. Mama didn't like what was happening to her family, not one bit. Something had to be done. But what? The best way to fight bad habits, she thought, was with good habits. Then she thought of a plan. She got a big piece of cardboard and a marker, and at the top she wrote, "The Bear Family Politeness Plan." The plan was finished. She called a family meeting and showed it to Papa and the cubs. It certainly got the Bear family's attention. The Bear Family Politeness Plan. Rudeness, forgetting please or thank you. Pushing and shoving, interrupting, name calling, reaching at the table, playing with food. Rude noises, banging the door, forgetting excuse me, hogging the bathroom. Penalties, sweep front steps, beat two rugs, dust downstairs, clean cellar and yard, wash dishes, wee garden, clean attic, empty garbage, and put out trash. Mama's plan had a list of all the rude things she wanted to stop. Besides each one was a penalty, a job or chore that went with it. If you forgot a please or a thank you, you had to sweep the front steps. If you pushed or shoved, you had to beat two rugs. If you got caught name calling, you had to clean the whole cellar. But Mama, you're not being fair, sputtered the cubs. It seems to me that you're the ones who aren't being fair to yourselves or anyone else. That's what manners are all about, being fair and considerate. Manners are very important to help us get along with each other. Why, without manners, she said. Your Mama's absolutely right, interrupted Papa. Thank you, Papa, for your comment, but interrupting is number 3 on the rude list. And the penalty is dusting downstairs, Mama said, and handed him the feather duster. This looks serious. I think we come up with a plan of our own if we're going to be doing a lot of extra chores, said Brother. What sort of plan? Asked Sister. Well, instead of being polite, we'll be super polite. We'll say please and thank you so much that Mama will get fed up and call the whole thing off. He said, Yes, we'll be so polite she won't be able to stand it, said Sister. They put their plan into action. They were super polite. On the stairs. After you, sister dear. Thank you, dear brother. In the hall. Excuse me, brother dear. Why, certainly, my dear sister. Waiting for the bathroom. Terribly sorry to have kept you waiting. Think nothing of it, my dear. But it didn't work the way they expected. Mama didn't give it up at all. After a while, brother and sister forgot about being super polite and were just, well, polite. At the table. Pass the honey, please. Certainly. In their room. Would you like to help me pick up your toys? Thank you very much. In the yard. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you. That's all right, no harm done. And it turned out that Mara had been right. Things did go more smoothly once I got into the good manners habit. I didn't even have to think about it. But it wasn't so easy for Papa. He was the one who got fed up. It's a little harder to change habits when you're older. You had to do quite a few extra chores for getting his manners. I'm glad to get out of the house, away from that politeness plan, he said as he drove the family along the highway on a trip to the supermarket. Manners and courtesy are just as important away from home, especially on the road. They help us drive safely, said Mama as they stopped at a stop sign to let pedestrians and other cars pass. Well, I think you can have too much of a good thing. You gotta have common sense along with manners. Why, if you let everyone go ahead of you at the checkout, you'd be there forever, grumbled Papa as they all went into the busy supermarket. And sometimes you have to interrupt. Excuse me, madam. I believe you have a leaking bottle in your shopping cart, he interrupted the shopper. The shopper thanked him for his help. You see, there is more to life than remembering your manners. Besides, manners are all right for cubs and mama bears, he said, driving home. But we papa bears have other things to think about. At that moment, the car in front stopped. Suddenly, Papa bumped into it. He was furious. Why, that pin-headed fiddle brain, he snarled. Name calling, reminded Sister. Bonk. The penalty for name calling was cleaning the whole cellar. So Papa gritted his teeth and remembered his manners. And a good thing too, because climbing out of the other car was the biggest, angriest bear he had ever seen. But when the angry bear saw how polite Papa was, he remembered his manners too. He explained that he had stopped short because of a mama duck and her ducklings had crossed in front of him. Then he and Papa Bear looked at their bumpers and saw that no harm was done. As I was saying, it's very important for us to remember our manners at all times, and I want to thank you, sister, for reminding me to remember mine, said Papa as they continued on their way. You're very welcome, I'm sure, said Sister Bear politely. The end.